Why is it you can show up for everyone else, but when it comes time to do something for yourself, it suddenly feels heavy or hard, or it just doesn't happen? This has been me in the past too, so you're completely not alone here. But this isn't a time problem. It often isn't even a motivation problem. And something that I see with clients all the time, if this is you, you're the one people rely on, you follow through for others, you care deeply. But when it comes to your goals, your health, your needs, it keeps getting pushed to the side. And the frustrating part is you know you're capable of more. I worked with someone, a client recently, who showed up for everyone in her life. This is actually something I often see with clients. They show up for everyone around them. But when it comes to showing up for themselves, this client couldn't justify it. She couldn't stay consistent. She was worried that everything else would fall apart if she wasn't making sure that she got all the things done for other people. And so she kept asking herself, like, why can't I just do this? And then when we found it had nothing to do with discipline, that was actually a really big eye opener for her. It helped her realize that she wasn't broken. There wasn't something wrong in her system. And this is from kind of the backbone in the history of NLP. There's multiple different people that were a part of this journey. So Milton Erickson, who's a hypnotherapist, Virginia Satir, who's a famous family psychologist, and then there was also Fritz Perls. And the interesting part I find about Fritz Perls is he talks about maturity, which is what leads to doing the things you say you're going to do. Maturity is often connected to our ability to get through frustrated desire alone. And for many of us, frustrated desire happens when something doesn't go your way. And then you find out that it's okay, anyways. Things work out regardless in the way that's beneficial to you. But many people go through the things not going your own way earlier in life, and then they don't get to that next step of realizing that things work out anyway. So this is a lot of the times why we can pull on the brakes and we can stop moving forward because there's just this fear that things aren't going to be okay if I don't have control, if I'm not holding everything together. And this is why discipline is not necessarily the most important thing when it comes to getting your goals. It's about, like, the reason you show up for others is because it feels safe for you. I work with a lot of autoimmune clients. I work with a lot of clients who have MS because that's my own journey and my own story in the past. And this is something that I experienced as well. And it was like, if I take care of everyone else, if I show up for everyone else, then I'm safe. I wrote about that in the book that I released in January, Standing Somewhere New. And it was like, okay, if I make sure everyone else is okay, then I'm okay. So my needs need to be put aside so I can make sure everyone else is okay. And that's the reason that it's easy to show up for other people, is because it feels safe. And showing up for yourself can actually feel unsafe to your nervous system. Showing up for yourself can feel unsafe at a nervous system level. It's like your system has this invisible rule running all the time that's like, take care of others is safe, put yourself first is risky. And that's where one part of you may want change and the other part of you is actually trying to protect you from it. So we're going to do a little exercise here. If you're watching the replay, you can play along with this as well. But think of something you've been putting off for yourself. You can just bring this into your mind or you can write it down, whatever resonates more for you. So think of something you've been putting off for yourself. Got it? Hopefully you do. Now imagine actually doing it. Imagine fully committing to that thing. And notice what you feel. Do you feel expansion? Or do you feel resistance, heaviness, hesitation? That feeling right there is not laziness. It's protection. So if you've been making yourself wrong for this, you can stop that. You can stop making yourself wrong because your system is trying to protect you. That's one of the main drivers, the main intentions of our unconscious mind is to keep us alive, to keep us safe. And so when these things show up for you, there is a positive intention behind it. But if we don't acknowledge it, recognize it, and notice it, it will just keep running automatically in the background for the rest of your life. 90 to 95% of what we do on a daily basis is controlled by our unconscious mind. We consciously do 5 to 10% of the things in our day. So if you're consciously trying to make changes and you're not interrupting the pattern that the subconscious is running, that's actually basically putting its foot firmly on the brake pedal, this problem, this challenge is going to keep persisting. And so this is where like the problem isn't you, it's the pattern. And so tomorrow I'm actually going to walk through this pattern, why it exists, and how to shift it without forcing yourself. Because when this clicks, showing up for yourself stops feeling like a battle. It stops feeling like you're playing literal tug of war with yourself and like it's really hard to move forward. So if this lands for you today at all, comment me below or check the link in the comments somewhere around this video. There'll be a link to join us tomorrow. It's going to be a Zoom conversation. And the whole point here is I'm going to take you through an exercise where you can recognize where things are showing up in your life that's preventing you from moving forward. This meetup is actually called why it's easy to show up for other people and difficult to show up for yourself. And so many people deal with this, and it's realizing that this is something that you can change. And when you start to notice that and start to feel the differences that you can create for yourself, it's really powerful. I've had a couple of clients recently because I just started doing meetups about 2 months ago. I think it was in January. And I've a bunch of new clients from that. And so we're early on in our time working together. And the technique or the tool that I'm going to teach you at this meetup has just been getting rave reviews recently. I had a client last week after her first session. She came back to me and she was like, that was incredible. I was able to change my behavior and change my state so quickly that it stopped me from spiraling. It stopped me from ruminating. It stopped me from going down that same path in my mind that I've been going for a long time that was really holding me back. I had another client yesterday or the day before, it was this week, and it was our second session working together. And she was just like mind blown when she was reflecting back on the negative self talk that happens in her life. When we don't notice things, they just keep happening. And sometimes it can continue to move in a direction that's not beneficial for us until we shine a flashlight on it and then start noticing it. We got on the call and she said, I had no idea how badly I talk to myself on a regular basis. And when you start to recognize it, we can interrupt it in an instant. It's the same as the client from last week who realized she could change her state. Because ultimately, the state that you're in when you go into a situation, have you ever gone into a situation in a really bad mood? Maybe something crappy happened on your drive in the morning, or something just ticked you off, or you went to the coffee shop and they didn't have your favorite coffee, or whatever it was. And you got there and you were just in a bad mood at the start of the situation. You're going to show up very differently in that situation, in that state, in that mood than you would be if, like, they called your winning lottery ticket numbers on the radio and you were just like in a peak, happy, excited, positive state. The state that we're in affects so much about how we show up in our families, in our relationships, in our conversations with ourselves, in so many different things. So the tool that I'm going to teach tomorrow on the meetup, it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Again, the link will be around this video somewhere if you would like to join us. If you join this as well, there's a resource that I'm going to be giving on this webinar, this meetup tomorrow. And also, I do these at least once a month. I have 2 in April. So the goal is to continue providing value for you and helping you just get to understand yourself a bit more and from a nervous system perspective. because I was just talking to a woman on TikTok actually, and because, like I said, I work with a lot of MS clients, and we don't recognize that if there's like emotional turbulence in our system in some different way, or if there's nervous system friction that's going on in our system, the body can present symptoms or can present all of the challenges that we're dealing with. And starting to recognize that this is actually something you have so much power to change is beautiful, in my opinion. I was diagnosed with MS 20 years ago. I've been symptom free for 10 years. And a lot of that had to do with recognizing the role my subconscious mind plays in the way that my body functions, the way that I show up in my everyday life, the way that I show up in relationships, in my job, in my career, in my family. Like everything that I do, I can choose that and I can change that, which is really cool. So if you're someone who struggles, or if you're someone who most people don't struggle to show up for themselves because they don't care. They struggle because somewhere along the way they learned it wasn't safe. Somewhere along the way, if you learned it wasn't safe to show up for yourself, tomorrow's talk is for you. You'll walk away with some cool tools that you can start using now that will make a really big difference when it comes to your quality of life, the challenge, any challenges that you've been dealing with, any goals that you have that maybe haven't been moving forward as in the direction that you want them to or as quickly as you would like them to. If this is something that lands with you, grab the link around this video. Make sure you sign up for this meetup. And it's not through Meetup. It's done through Zoom. Well, it's done through Meetup as well, but then I'm doing it just through Zoom as well because I've heard that some people don't want to join Meetup, which is fine. So I've got both options for you. And when you sign up for this, yes, you'll get lots of resources and guides, and just enjoy the experience. It's going to be really fun. So I hope to see you tomorrow. I'm Kate from Align Natural Health, and I help with people puzzles. I help people figure out what's been going on in their mind that's stopping them from moving towards the goals that they want, and realize that they are capable of so much more than they've probably ever been led to believe. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I really hope to see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you are not able to attend, sign up anyways, and I will send you the replay. All right, enjoy the rest of your day.